Have you ever felt like school projects could be, well, more? Today, we're going to dive into a framework that really tries to make that happen. It's called Rigorous Project-Based Learning, or PBL for short, and it's all about taking learning outside the four walls of the classroom and into the real world.
So let's just start with this question, because it's really the whole point. What if students weren't just learning about, say, environmental science, but were actually designing a solution for a pollution problem in their own town? Or instead of just reading about history, they were creating an actual exhibit for a local museum? That's the huge shift in perspective we're talking about here.
Okay, so what exactly is PBL? Well, it's not just about, doing a project. It's a super structured framework. As you can see right here, it's designed to guide students from a real-world challenge, step by step, all the way to a final product that they share with the public. The whole goal isn't just about the grade. It's about deep inquiry and getting authentic outcomes. Let's break down what that actually looks like. The whole PBL journey really happens in two big phases. The first one is discovery and inquiry. This is all about finding a problem that actually matters and then digging in to really understand it. You can think of this as figuring out the why and the what of the whole project. So let's start at the very beginning with the absolute foundation of any good project. Pillar number 1. Pillar 1 is all about the authentic problem. This is so key. It means the project can't just be some made-up textbook scenario. It has to tackle a real issue that exists out in the world. So instead of a question like, what if a fake city had a water shortage? The problem becomes, hey, our local river has seen a 20% spike in pollutants over the last 5 years. Why is that happening, and what can we actually do about it? See the difference?
Okay, so you've got a real problem on your hands. But how do you keep students focused? How do you channel all that energy? Well, that's exactly what Pillar 2 is for. And that is the driving question. This is where you take that big, messy, authentic problem and you sharpen it into one focused, open-ended challenge. So for our river pollution example, a great driving question might be, how can we, as student scientists, design a public awareness campaign that actually helps reduce agricultural runoff into our river? And boom, that question becomes the North Star for the entire project. So you've got this amazing, compelling question, but now you've got to find some answers, right? This takes us to the intellectual heart of the whole thing, pillar number 3. This one is called sustained inquiry. And that word, sustained, is everything here. We are not talking about a quick 30-minute Google search. This is about students becoming legitimate experts on a topic. They might be out there conducting water quality tests, interviewing local farmers, talking to environmental scientists, and digging through data for weeks to truly get the full picture. And just like that, the discovery phase is done. We've got a real problem, a sharp question, and a ton of research. But having all that knowledge is only half the battle. Now we've got to shift from just understanding the problem to actually building the solution. And welcome to Phase 2, Development and Delivery. This is where all that hard work, all that research starts to become something real and tangible. So how in the world you manage a complex, long-term project without it completely going off the rails? Well, the 4th pillar gives us the roadmap for that. And that pillar is milestones. Look, any big project can feel totally overwhelming. Milestones break it down into smaller, manageable chunks. But they're not just deadlines. They're these built-in checkpoints for getting feedback and, if you need to, changing course. A milestone could be turning in your research sources, presenting a rough design, or building a first prototype. It keeps everything moving forward and makes the whole thing feel way less scary. Next up is a step that is absolutely 100% vital for doing quality work. Pillar number 5 is revision and feedback, and I want you to notice that word mandatory. This framework gets that real learning, the deep stuff, happens when you're improving something. It's not about nailing it on the first try. It's about being in this constant cycle of drafting, getting feedback, and making it better. It builds so much resilience. And what's really cool is how this feedback loop works. It's not just your teacher with a red pen. It's a whole system. You've got these required drafting sessions. You have students giving each other peer-to-peer reviews. You might even bring in outside experts to weigh in. And all of it leads to these iterative improvements, making the final product stronger and stronger. So after all the research, all the building, all the feedback and refinement, where does this all end up? We finally made it to the last culminating pillar. Pillar 6, the public product. Honestly, this is a total game changer.
The final work isn't just turned into the teacher for a grade, it's actually presented to a real audience. It could be a presentation to the city council, a formal proposal to a local business, or maybe a website for a nonprofit. The moment students know that their work is going to be seen by people outside of school, the stakes go way up, and so does their level of commitment. It gives the whole thing real purpose.
So let's zoom out for a second and look at the complete journey tying all 6 of these powerful pillars together.
You can see here, these pillars aren't just a random checklist. They're a totally interconnected system. The authentic problem gives the driving question its meaning. That sustained inquiry is what informs the milestones. And that whole feedback loop is what guarantees a high-quality public product at the end. It's a process that actually mirrors how problems get solved in the real world, and it builds skills that go way beyond just knowing facts for a test. So there you have it, a complete map for taking student curiosity and turning it into real, meaningful impact. This isn't just about making school a little more interesting. It's about empowering the next generation to be the problem solvers we need them to be. Which leaves us with a final question. And it's not just for students, it's for all of us. Now that we have the map, what problems are worth solving?